welcome to the first in a series of videos on urban forestry. This is a mesquite tree that was cut down yesterday. What I've got here is an Alaskan chainsaw milling guide attached to a Stihl chainsaw and a 36-inch bar. I've trimmed up the log to accommodate the capacity of this chainsaw jig, so I've squared up the sides to about 30 inches, which is the maximum capacity once this jig is mounted to the bar. I've notched out a section to accommodate this homemade wooden bracket that holds these C-channel bars. So these guide rails allow the Alaskan mill to run along that platform. It creates a nice flat initial surface so that I can cut subsequent boards with an established flat edge. And that's what I'll do next. The first thing you'll need to do is make sure that the log is flat and stable. I'm just using a lever and some logs to support it. This is a Stihl 261 chainsaw. I'm adding a gas oil fuel mixture. It's a 20-inch bar, and you'll also want to add bar oil to make sure that the chain stays lubricated. I'll be using this saw in order to cross-cut the ends of the log to establish flat surfaces for the brackets that will hold the C-channel guide rails. This is a scoring technique in order to make a straight horizontal line. Once you've established flat surfaces on the ends of the log, you'll add brackets. The brackets will support the guide rails. The guide rails are in place, everything is secure and stable. This is the Alaskan chainsaw milling jig, which will ride on the guide rails. It's important to go slow at the very beginning. Make sure you establish a quality cut. This first cut will produce the subsequent cuts. If this top cut is nice and level, everything else will follow in line. I'm adding a shim just to make sure that the board doesn't fall on the chain as it exits the cut. So now I have the guide rails lying flat on the log after that first cut was made and removed. And once again, just go slow as you exit the cut. This can be exhausting work, so it helps to have friends. This is my friend Ed and my friend Thad. They were kind enough to stop by and help me make some cuts and also move the logs and boards. This is the mesquite tree that's been stickered and stacked. This is the proper way to dry your material. I've used 3/4 inch poplar sticks, evenly spaced, to allow air. I've used 3/4 inch poplar sticks in order to evenly space the boards out so that air and moisture can flow through the boards. Store it outside, perhaps under a tarp to protect it from the elements. You could open up that tarp periodically to let moisture out. I typically do this for about 6 to 8 months, and then I'll bring it inside and finish the drying process inside. It takes about a year per inch of thickness for boards to dry out properly, and that's down to about 20% moisture content. I've found that here in Arizona, it's so warm and dry that we have to try to control the drying process so it doesn't dry too quickly. So what I do is store them outside for about half the year. Once the summer comes around, so right around May or June, I'll bring them inside in order to slow that drying process down. You can get a bit of checking if you're not careful, so you could seal the end grain with wax or wood glue in order to control that. There's always a little bit of checking in the end grain, so sometimes you end up having to slice that off. But these boards will be ready about this time next year for art, sculpture, furniture, whatever your imagination is. So join me for the next episode, and I'll show you what you could potentially do with boards that are cut from wood that you found in the urban forest.